All right, here we are. We're live now. We've got 6 live viewers, and this app that we're doing this through should record the show. So record the whole show, then we can pull the audible and pull the audio and put it up on podcast stuff. So Lord Zippy Blaine the Wizard just joined us. So let's we'll take down that picture of Eddie Van Halen there, and we'll jump in. Oops. There we go. There he is. There's the
I'm
wizard.
here. Yeah. There you go.
There we go. A little bit better. Sit up there. So this Blaine, thanks for hanging out with us on this. This is our inaugural run of this new technology here.
Excellent. Yeah, it looks like it works pretty well.
Yeah. So obviously, last time you were with us, we were live at the shop and just recorded all the audio. And with this app, we should be able to pull the audio and still load it up to the podcast sites.
Excellent.
So this live streams on Facebook and live streams on the Chain Reaction Records YouTube page at the same time, and records it. And then with the recording, we pull the audio and get it up on all the streaming sites.
Cool.
So I did start the day off with I was going to wear this shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had to change.
Yeah. If I would have had a Van Halen shirt, I would have put one on.
I did. I was in a meeting. I was in a Zoom meeting at work, and my buddy Dave down in Phoenix, he texted me, and I read the text, and I'm like, well, I'm still in the meeting talking away, pull up my other monitor, and I was just like speechless, man. I was like, oh wow. Then after that meeting, I got up and put a shirt. I was like, yeah, I gotta switch it out. Started panicking a little bit though. I thought maybe I got rid of it. It's my 2007 tour shirt. Apparently it was leftover tour merch from the European leg of the tour. It's a bunch of European cities on the back, and they were just selling the unused shirts in at the Denver show. I was like, oh, yeah, killer tour shirt. Got it home and look at the back, and it's all these European cities. Like, I didn't see them there.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Only we know that. Well, no, now everybody knows. But
yeah, I guess now everybody knows that I didn't see Van Halen in Germany.
Yeah.
I got to play on Van Halen's stage one time, a piece of it. They've in LA, they would rent out their stages and put them in like they'd storm in different warehouses, and one of these warehouses had a piece of Van Halen's stage, and so every band that played there got bragging rights that, hey, I got to play on a piece of Van Halen's stage.
Like, what kind of piece of it?
It was just a big 6 foot tall fucking riser, man. It's just a huge stage. It's just the kind you pack up and put in a semi truck and drive to the next city and set it up again, you know?
But so it's like, yeah, I guess so. They set up in pieces like a big puzzle, right?
Yeah, so they said it was like half the stage or a quarter of the stage.
Yeah.
And it was super scary because kids would fall off it because they weren't used to playing on such a high stage. You wouldn't see the end. Yeah, they just like, like show's over.
Damn. So I obviously wasn't there, but didn't you play that? Weren't there some cool bands on that show?
Yeah, it's Battalion of Saints, D-Cry. Shit, man, I can't even remember now. I remember those two. There's a bunch. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my introduction to Van Halen probably would have been the Schotten brothers, Brandon and Scott. They were also kind of my introduction to like Kiss and then into heavy metal. But this is gonna sound super corny, and I probably lose all kinds of cool points for it or whatever. But my favorite Van Halen album is 1984. And
it's the hits, man.
huh?
I said it's the one with all the hits.
It's just because that was the first one that I bought as a new release. Like, like I said, Brandon Scott had turned me on to some Van Halen. I remember Brandon staying the night at our house and bringing over Women and Children First, then jamming that and like, yeah, this is killer. Was into all that stuff, but the first one I bought as a new release was 1984 from Columbia House. I remember getting it in the mail and being all excited. And I remember this kid Andy Warline at school trying to tell me that the keyboard parts were played on guitar. He's like, you should see the video. I hadn't seen the video yet. I was like, well, it's just a video. Finally saw the video. I'm like, he's not playing it on the guitar because he even pretends to play the keyboard part. It's just he was already getting enough shit for all the keyboards that had to bust out the guitar for the video. So what were your thoughts when 1984 dropped?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I was probably a little bit older than you, so demographically speaking, that wouldn't have been something that I would have gravitated towards that record. I mean, I remember when the first one came out.
Yeah,
that's when I was in high school. So I still have my copy of Van Halen, the first Van Halen record that I got when I was in high school. Yeah, I saw him play one time. It was the year because they did the one big tour where they toured with Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath did that Never Say Die, and I didn't see that one, but I saw them. They came back. I don't know. I think it was like maybe 6 or 9 months later, and a band called the Babies was opening for him.
Who opened for him?
The Babies.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm familiar with the Babies.
Yeah, and I used to work at this place at the we have up here in Seattle, the Seattle Center. Used to have the World's Fair, and they used to have the food circus where a bunch of different restaurants in there. I worked at a hot dog place up there called Man Bites Dog. So occasionally, when we got off of work, you could find that I just say this is a 70s thing. The brothers would sell. They're either selling crappy acid or fake speed, and they'd be selling tickets to the show. So I think I bought a ticket for $3 or $5. Stashed my little weed pipe outside of the Seattle Center arena and my school books.
Right.
Went in and saw the show.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered. I'm trying to get the glare off of there.
Uh-huh. That looks like the reissue, right?
Yeah, this is on the Unrest record.
Unrest records, yeah.
Yeah. So Chewy is wearing a Motley Crue Shout the Devil shirt.
Yeah.
And then
Mom's got the Ozzy shirt.
2 Ozzy shirts going there.
Yeah.
So I've always told myself that, the night before they all went and saw Ozzy with Motley Crue opening.
Fuck, they may have. I don't know. I know that that's in that same time period.
They didn't take you. Where's your shirt, man?
Yeah, well, I was the hated one. They did it, but during that time period. I know Rat came around, and Tom went to go see Rat and got me a Rat shirt.
All right, cool. Then on the back,
that's where all the ladies were.
Oh hell yeah!
Right? I mean, back then there wasn't, the hardcore punk thing was more of a men's club, more boys' club, I should say.
On the back, you've got on a Judge Death T-shirt. Mm-hmm. This is 1984, so this is obviously way before Anthrax made Judge Dredd super popular.
Yeah.
So you were already down with Judge Dredd.
Oh yeah, the whole 2000 AD. You know, the little that. Well, I was at that point in time, I wasn't able to access because it came out over in the UK. It was like either a weekly deal, I think. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I was just buying the kind of the book versions,
Yeah.
But the whole the Judge Dredd, the Judge Death, the Fink brothers and all that, all that stuff.
See, I can't say that I was aware of Judge Dredd before Anthrax, and then with Anthrax, I was like, what is it? I Am the Law.
Yeah.
And I remember my brother and I being back in New York. There's this. We'd go back in the summers and stuff, and there was this comic book store in Peekskill that we hit up, and they had a few Judge Dredd comics, and I just grabbed all of them, and it just happened to be the series with the introduction of
So they had like the regular comic book versions, right?
Yeah.
The ones that were coming out of the UK were like newsprint.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It was kind of more like a disposable, kind of like your Sunday comics.
Oh.
So you know what I mean? So they would have, so it'd be like there'd be like a Judge Dredd story in there, and God, I haven't looked at that shit in such a long time. But there was a couple other stories or different other than just Judge Dredd. There was a space one. I don't know. I can't even fucking remember what it was, but so it's more like a Sunday Funnies type of a deal.
Right.
And when we got him over here, it was more like a traditional comic book.
Yeah.
I just noticed that I'd never noticed it before until today when I was looking at this record again. The picture of he who should not be named down here on the bottom right. He's got a Mace shirt on.
Yeah.
I think I always thought that was an MC5 shirt. Today I just looked at it like, no, that's the Mace logo.
Yeah,
that's fucking cool.
Yeah, we were friends with those guys back then because they were, Tom and Chewy lived kind of north of Seattle, and that's where those guys were from, up in Everett, about a half hour north.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, I think it was my brother that actually turned me on to Mace.
Yeah,
and,
Mace is shit.
Oh yeah, they had the coolest look. They had that total like Road Warrior apocalypse mutant.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right, so maybe everybody went and saw Ozzy and Motley the night before. Maybe not, but everybody.
Well, let's just say they did. That'll be part of the new urban mythology.
Yeah, that's the story I've always told myself.
Hey, I like it.
So, where are you right now? You're in the back room somewhere.
Oh, I'm in our office.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm at home. Yeah, we're having some work done on our house, and they discovered some extra problems. So
always.
Yeah.
There are always extra problems when you're doing a remodel.
So they're kind of banging around out there. So this is about the quietest place I can be.
And it looks like what am I looking at there behind you? Are those booze bottles? You all set?
Yeah. Well, that's just my bourbon and whiskey collection. Yeah. I've got the gin and the rum and the tequila are in another spot, and then down in the basement where I have our little Facebook bar. That's where I have like all the kind of stuff you use to mix.
So I was just going to ask you about that. Kind of, what are you doing to keep yourself occupied during COVID? And one of the things that you're doing is your Facebook bar, and you had some neighbors on there the other night.
Yeah, the guys from next door. Yeah. I've lived in this house where I'm at now for almost 30 years, and they've been our neighbors the whole time, and everybody's our kids have all grown up, so now the main guy who lives over there, his name is Trek, and he loves this fucking Cambodian karaoke. They like drinking Heinekens, and they like smoking cigarettes. And they'll have that karaoke. He's got lights on in the garage and shit, and he'll be going. he'll be going till 2 or 3 in the morning.
No shit. He's just partying.
Even by himself, even after everybody's left, he's still, he's still at it.
Hell yeah.
I remember doing that when everybody passed out and I'm still putting records on and playing air guitar and
yeah.
Just,
oh no, some of the stuff it's really, really sappy. Oh man. Yeah. Some of the stuff, that he's following on YouTube or wherever he's getting it from, it's like, wow, my God. Yeah.
So are they familiar with your stuff and your musical endeavors?
Well, because we practice in our basement, so
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, twice a week. Yeah.
They have no choice.
They're, culturally speaking, they're way more way more Cambodian. They haven't really they're not really that Americanized, I guess. So they're really they don't do Cambodian food, Cambodian music. They he speaks English well, but I mean there's a lot of stuff that as far as like conversational some stuff we don't it's kind of hard to connect at that level.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've showed them we do videos, and we've done a couple of these videos we've actually shot along the side of my house. There's some woods here, and they're out here checking it out.
Yeah, so you've done a couple of videos.
Mm-hmm.
For a few tunes off of the new album, the Ghoul in the Mirror.
Ghoul in the Mirror, yeah.
Yeah, what songs did you do videos for?
The first one we did was for a song called Juego Terminado, Game Over, and we did another one for a song called Hate Your Friends, and most recently we did one for a song called A Terrible Tale.
Which one? Maybe it was all of them, but there was one that looked like you were setting up in your backyard or just on the other side of the fence or something.
Yeah, both of the Juego Terminado and the Terrible Tale. Yeah, we set up. Yeah, we did just on the side of the house.
Nice.
It's easier that way.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard to get these old guys, to get them rallied up, and it's like, we got to pack up our shit and go drive 2 hours out of town, and it's like, we got to meet up at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, and it's like, it's like the guy that does videos, he always wants to go, do all this stuff on location. It's like, man, that all sounds great, but I mean, I know how these guys operate. It's just going to be easier, the path of least resistance. Just do it.
You had done a video back in the day. I want to say it was 2 Hours to Sunrise. Was that what song was?
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that like shooting a DIY basically video now compare to filming a video back then?
Well, basically now it's free.
Yeah.
Like everything now, recording and everything. Everything used to cost real money back then, and now if you give somebody a couple of $100, they're happy.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can do all this kind of stuff right here. It's the whole. It's beyond my scope of knowledge, but I know that it's there, and it's I can shoot videos on my telephone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that 2 hours till sunrise video, we did that. That's when we were on the Nasty Mix label here in Seattle, and we had planned to do that, and that's like right when Tom like up and quit on us, just like like weeks before that record came out. So we have the guy that we brought on to play guitar. He played guitar in the video, and then we had Steve, the Slayer hippie, actually played drums on that video.
So, and then Steve came back and started working with you guys up until recently, up until his passing. Is that right?
Yeah. He came on last August. Yeah, because the guy we were playing with, it just I can't say too many bad things about the guy, but it just wasn't a good fit. And we got offered to do this tour with I Hate God and Negative Approach and Sheer Terror and Final Conflict. And we were offered that first. That was a U.S. thing, and so it's like, yeah, we'll do that. And then like about a month later, we got offered to do this thing with Municipal Waste in Europe. you know, but we weren't really going to make any money. And it's like, you know, well, it costs, you know, to fly over there and everything, you know, it's, you know, $5,000-$6,000, $7,000, you know, when it's all said and done. And, you know, being an older guy, you know, the level of comfort that I'm accustomed to, you know, I don't really want to sleep on somebody's floor or
yeah.
Out at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. So, I mean, this guy, when we said we weren't going to be able to, you know, we can't do both, you know, and it's like, so we're just going to do the U.S. thing. And this guy literally cried that we couldn't do the municipal waste thing. And so he put in his 2 weeks notice, and we could tell that it just wasn't, you know, we weren't going to be able to play music with him for, you know, for another 6 or 8 weeks, you know, to finish, you know, the commitments we had made for the end of the year. So yeah, I gave Steve a call, and he was totally down, and yeah, came up and learned all those. Yeah, and we'd done a couple of things with him after he'd gotten out of prison. You know, where he'd played some of our songs. Mostly, I think he did some of the toe tag. We'd done some toe tag songs with him and some accused songs with him after he got out of prison.
Yeah, I mean, even when you guys were here, when you were in Denver, you know, meeting you guys and hanging out with y'all and stuff. I mean, you could kind of tell then that one of these guys doesn't belong.
Yeah, he was not comfortable. He's somebody who wasn't really comfortable in his skin, and you know, he was kind of really, you know, you get to a point in your life where you know what your shortcomings are.
Sure.
You know, you're not good at this, you're not good at that. I mean, you know, and you come to grips with it. He wasn't able to come to grips with what his shortcomings were, and you know, we totally could have dealt with a guy. It's like, you know, just be real with us. Like we're trying to be real with you, and yeah, it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, you know, as I get older and look back, and people, you know, like, what's it like being older? And I always just said, like, man, my 40s, which I'm about to exit, my 40s were my best decade so far. I was the most comfortable with who I was as a person, like you said, hopefully aware of most of my shortcomings, able to navigate around them, occasionally bump into them, but certainly not as often and as in previous decades. You get to that age, hopefully you're growing and learning who you are and becoming more comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
Not trying to be something that you aren't.
Yeah, and it's a little ridiculous when you're like an older guy and you're still trying to, you know, it's like, dude, you're not 19 anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, and the young guys, if you think you're impressing the young guys, they got their own fucking thing going on, you know. They don't really give two shits about, you know, what the older guys are doing, you know. It's
sure. I mean, we had that conversation within Clusterfucks, you know, like about, you know, what's our appeal to the younger crowd or whatever. And then one day we're like, you know, we don't.
Right? Yeah, they've got their own thing. Yeah, they don't need a bunch of old guys to do what they're already doing.
Yeah.
Look, in some ways it's too bad, but you know, in other ways, you know, I don't mind. You know, and that's just the way it is.
I think again, when you accept that and recognize that, and then, you know, recognize that as the landscape now that you've got to travel through, it just makes it easier.
Oh yeah. Well, then you don't have any expectations, you know.
Yeah,
we've had the opportunity to do some big all ages shows, you know, and you think, hey, yeah, this is gonna, you know, you're gonna, you know, bring some of these kids on. They're gonna, you know, then they're gonna come and see you play the next time, and it's like, how you going to play the next time? It's just the same, you know.
Yeah, we did that. We're like, we get a couple of these big all age. Oh, this is gonna be killer. It's gonna expose this to all the younger crowd, and they don't care.
Yeah,
they're like, this guy looks like my dad. Why is he here jumping around like an idiot?
Right. Yeah.
Like before you jumped on, I was just telling my brother, like, oh, did you cut your hair? And he's like, yeah, show me the bald spot was too much. I had to trim it off. I'm like, oh yeah, the old bald spot coming in here, and like, yeah, and you're up there trying to play in front of the kids.
Yeah,
you look like their dad. You're just not relating the same.
Yeah.
So,
They don't need a history lesson.
Yeah.
So speaking of Bald Spot, you got what was that tour you said you guys were gonna do? Is that done? Or are you gonna try and reschedule the one the Final Conflict and Sheer Terror? And
No, we did that. Yeah, we did that. That was last.
oh, it's gone and done.
Yeah, that was
that
last,
just West Coast? Or?
Yeah, just West Coast. Yeah, it was supposed to. We were supposed to do. There was supposed to be like an Albuquerque and a Phoenix. You know, so we were supposed to kind of come over that way, but yeah, it ended up. Yeah, we ended up not doing those spaces, or I don't. You know, I think maybe Negative Approach and Sheer Terror, and not Die.
That's an amazing tour, amazing lineup.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. The only unfortunate thing is we were supposed to kind of like switch off with Final Conflict, in regards to opening. We ended up opening every show. A couple shows there were those local guys, but it gave us more time to walk around.
The LA show, my buddy Mikey and I, we had planned on flying out to that one, but now you bring it up, I can't remember why we didn't.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was about this time last year, wasn't it last fall?
Yeah. Something I can't remember. It was like end of September, beginning of October.
I know why we didn't go. I just remembered because basically it came down to money, because I had already my girlfriend and I had already gotten tickets and plane tickets and everything to go see Bauhaus in LA at the end of November. And I was like, I really couldn't. I couldn't afford to book an entirely another trip so close to it.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
Yeah,
I'd say the reason I didn't go is
I
smoked too much weed and didn't even realize what's happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say is that I remember telling you about it, and you were interested in flying out.
Slow to the bag.
So, tell us about Dead End America.
So that was something that Hanford was working on. He was working on a whole bunch of stuff. He was pretty much when he got out of the joint, he was trying to do this Blue Oyster Cult tribute. So he had all these bands that were going to doing all these Blue Oyster Cult songs. I think we weren't going to do it because by the time we committed, all the good songs were gone. And I didn't really go. I mean, Blue Oyster Cult. I mean, it wasn't really. I never really got into them, so I didn't really have a strong attraction to it. He did that. He did another project. I think it was called. Fuck, I can't even remember, but it was one of the guitar player for the Skull and the singer for Yob. He had that project going. He played in a band called Eight Machine. Anyway, so he had a little studio set up at his house. So he was always doing shit. He was in the process of remastering. Back in the early '80s, he was in a Portland band called Mayhem, kind of pre black metal, death metal,
right?
Metal Mayhem. But anyway, so these were songs that he was working on. So I don't know if they were songs that he may have eventually worked on with us. Because all this COVID shit happened, and then my wife started working from home, so it just wasn't. I just couldn't have him coming here, staying at the house while she was working, so we didn't really get to. We kind of started to work on new material, but we never did. So these were just 4 songs that he had been working on with this guy Tony Avila, who's another Portland guy, and then the Ian guy from Eight Machine. And I think he had also done, I think he was doing something, what is that one called? God, he was doing so much stuff. He had some side project that he was doing with Nickel Riveri and one of the High on Fire guys. And what it was called. He was just doing all kinds of stuff. So these are 4 songs that he had that they were working on, and Steve sang on one of them. I sang on one, and Mike from I Hate God, Steve, Blaine, Mike, and then I think Nick Oliveri sings on one. Yeah, I mean
so that's coming out on Southern Lord. I think they're taking pre-orders right now.
Yeah, it's crazy how quick it all came together. I was really, I wish I could get Southern Lord to, answer my phone calls.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, well, maybe that's a good in, man, for you guys. Get
Maybe,
that out.
I mean, we've known that Greg Anderson, that does that Southern Lord. He's an old, Seattle guy. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I always love how diverse that label is. They've got crust on there, they've got hardcore on there, they've got they've got power trip, their crossover thrash stuff. They've a really diverse label. I love most of the stuff that comes out on that label.
Yeah, and that's I mean, it's just the thing just happened so quick. Next thing you know, I'm like getting like fucking 50 emails, back and forth with these guys about this stuff. It's like, well, all right, that's I'm just happy to be part of it.
So with with COVID, you said you guys have been practicing a couple times a week and stuff. Is that with Accused AD, Toe Tag? What are you guys working on?
We're just doing the toe tag set. Working on some new material. There's really no point. And we could go and learn those Accused songs with our new drummer, but I mean, there's we'd rather do our own stuff and try to learn, get some new stuff. I'd really like to have 4 songs we could record, come like November. That's what I'm pushing for.
All right.
Cool.
When the beers get put down and we're done with the marijuana cigarette, okay, let's focus. 4 songs, we can do it.
Who is the new drummer? Who's jamming?
He's his name's Chris Godey. He's a Seattle guy. Started out kind of more of a metal guy in that early 80s metal scene. And I think I don't know, mid 90s, he was in kind of like kind of that Seattle wave. He was in a band called My Sister's Machine. And he's jammed with Steve and Alex in a couple of different things over the years. And he's kind of wanted to jam with us for a while, and he's local, and he's kind of like us. It's a lot easier that going the more comfortable route versus bringing a new guy in who might not really our sense of humor and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. It's always again, I think too, especially as you get older and whatnot, it's tough to bring younger guys into the band or something like that. We definitely in Clusterfucks dealt with some of that over the years. Like get to or there's like a 20-year age gap between some of the members, and you're not all playing the
same.
Yeah, for sure. As you get older, you're more set in your ways. It's I don't know. It's good. Yeah, we jam. Chris has a older son who's actually like 30 something, but he was born with some developmental issues. So with the COVID, he's not able to get together. He would go bowling and do shit with other kids that are in the same situation. So we just 1 week we practice Monday, Thursday. Next week we practice on Wednesday. Yeah, so Chris has his kid on the Wednesday week.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Although his kid will come to see us practice, but he doesn't dig it too much.
So what else have you been doing? You've got the Facebook bar, but you've got the cooking show too.
Yeah, I'm kind of swapping that out. Yeah, so I got called the Wicker Bar. So I do a little cocktail, and then I come back up into the kitchen, and I'll show some of my cooking tips or some of my recipes for good living and good eating when you're at home.
Do you still run the restaurant, right?
Yep. Yeah.
have you been able to like have that open at all during the COVID thing, or?
Oh, we've been open the whole time. Yeah, just doing just delivery and takeout.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So how about the like rice and stuff and all that? Is that near your business? Is that away or?
We don't have that in the Port of Seattle that I live in, and
Okay.
it all comes down to money, there's a lot of and the systems need to change, that's without a doubt. But there's people are always going to be racist, I mean that's a human nature thing, it's like prohibition. I don't you're not gonna. Yeah, that's always going to be there. But, the systems need to change, and got to. Man, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's messed up that's going on right now.
And a lot at once.
Yeah, I heard out there too. I have some friends who.
Yeah.
I think he froze up.
Yes, he did. He keeps freezing.
Yeah.
Me?
He's dancing. Yeah.
Cheap telephone camera from China.
Yeah, there's a lot that's broken. It's just coming to a head, man. Like there's so much going on. Like every day you check the news and it's just piling up one crazy thing after another. And actually, that was one of the things that made me think we needed to get the podcast going again, get the Talkin Shit podcast going again, just to distract myself from some of that. Because it's easy to get sucked in to just checking the headlines and watching the news all day.
Yeah, it's so much negativity.
Yeah,
it's just not. It's not good.
I've got my little daily ritual of I put NPR on for an hour or so in the morning when they start to repeat the stories, and then it's time to move on. I'll check some headlines on USA Today or something, and then from there, it's got to be music and music related podcasts. Yeah, the Traveler.
Yeah.
I went and.
Well, you're frozen again.
Different internet.
You froze again, but much better picture.
Still doesn't seem to be working good for me.
And now we can't hear you. No, you're you keep freezing up, but your video quality's better. We'll give you that. You get points for the video quality.
I got a good one. A good one. Sorry about that.
So let me ask you. So we're just looking at that Splatterhead record, and was got Motley Crue and Ozzy shirts on. Talked about going to see Rat, Sabbath, a little bit of Van Halen, not so into Blue Oyster Cult. Where did it shift to hardcore and punk, and then even from there to you guys are one of the inventors, pioneers of crossover. How did that all move around and come to be?
I think we were kind of like pre-crossover. You know what I mean? It was kind of more like I think crossovers turned out to be more like a style now than it is versus people taking different elements from different times and putting it into what they do. I mean that's just kind of like what we were doing. We all like to listen to different kind of stuff, and really nobody that was in The Accused was like a prolific songwriter. You know what I mean? So a lot of it was like somebody would have one part for a song and somebody else would have another part for a song, and then that's how the song came together. And it was if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
I had a question. So like when I think back to like the Accused catalog, there's a lot of records, and for me, like when say I listen to Black Sabbath, I'll get into like a Black Sabbath thing where I got to listen to all the records for a couple of weeks, and I'll do the same thing with Accused. And I always wonder, do you ever look back through your catalog, and is there any like those old records that like when you hear interviews with Iron Maiden, they're like, oh, wish we could have recorded that one different, or like, do you have any regrets with any of those old records that you wish you would have done different? Or because I listen to them, I'm like, oh, they're beautiful, but I just wondered for you, do you?
No, you can't, because that's just what was available, and that's how you did things back then. So, you know, a lot of recording back then, it was, you know, guys that had studios, they weren't used to music like that. You know, like we went in to record that first Fart single, and the guy just didn't know what the fuck is this? they don't know, you know, they didn't know how to deal with it. You know, I think it was, you know, same as with those early Accused deals. Yeah, they didn't know, except with the exception of that Martha Splatterhead thing, you know, because that guy, Chris Hanzik, you know, he had a pretty good handle on what we were doing. But yeah, I think we did the other songs for Return of Martha Splatterhead. You know, not so much. You know, the more fun than an open casket funeral. You know, not so much in there, because they were, you know, because even then there wasn't really even like heavy metal. You know, it was more like these guys were used to doing, you know, hard rock or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I used to have to record amps super cranked up, people screaming.
Yeah.
But they sounded great. I mean, that's what I was wondering to me. Is like, to me, I love hearing about it. I was wondering for you, do you like, fuck, that sucked? But
yeah, because they're little. It's a little piece of a capsule of time. I mean, that's what was going on. You know, so yeah, you know,
sure.
It was as much going in and to do the recording as much as, you know, everything else that was going on in everybody's life. You know, where we were practicing, or what, you know, what we were doing, what kind of cars we were driving, or, you know, what your girlfriend was, or, you know.
Nice.
It's definitely a lot easier now.
Was there, I guess it's probably a couple months ago now, but was there some footage or something that came out of from the boat riot?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a guy, Jesse Davis. He lives down in the Bay Area. He digitized. I had a whole collection of VHS tapes, and he digitized all that stuff. And there was, we had that news footage. From that, the ferry riot was in that box of tapes.
Give us a quick overview of the ferry riot for anybody that might not be aware.
There was a point in time up here in Seattle where they weren't allowing all ages shows in the city, so people were doing there were shows in Tacoma, which was about a half hour south of Seattle, and then they're doing shows in Bremerton, which actually you could drive around. That would take you maybe like an hour, or you could take a ferry over there, which just shows how much different, you know, music was back then, that you could get kids from Seattle that would take a ferry to go see shows in this, you know, this remote area. Yes, we went out there. We did the we're doing that GBH tour, and we were back to Seattle to do our home show, and I didn't even see it. I was down in the car with my girlfriend, you know, and that when you got off that ferry, there was a little store that was about 5 minutes away. And when you got off that ferry, that last ferry would get you into town at about 1:40. You'd have 20 minutes before they stopped selling beer, and, you know, we just got paid. So, you know, obviously back then money was different. You know, economically things were, you know, if you're somebody from the 80s, you didn't have, not like, you know, back then nobody had a fucking credit card, or, you know, nobody's got a pocket full of cash. You know, everybody's you're scraping together to get the $10 to buy that half case at the end of the show, and that's what you're going to be happy with. No, we were just down in our cars, and, you know, some kids were getting lippy with some, you know, ferry worker, you know, because the ferry workers didn't know how to deal with these freaks, and you know, and back then, guys, they just look like you guys, you know, they're not, you know, but that was scary enough, you know, for these ferry workers. And, you know, I think some kid pissed in a planter, you know, they were trying to take him, you know, back into whatever the ferry version of their little jail or lockup was. And, you know, this pissed off a couple of the other kids, and, you know, somebody grabbed a fire axe and they started, you know, tearing out ceiling tiles or some shit like that.
Oh, shit.
I think ultimately the damage was like really, really, really minuscule, but, you know, they blew it way out of proportion. And then when we got to the Seattle side to get off the boat, there was just this fucking line of fucking cop cars, you know, and every car, you know, as you got off the boat, you had to pop your trunk, and they were, checking everybody out. And I can't remember if we made it to the store in time to buy beer, though. I'd like to think then the following morning, the news people. I'm not really sure how they figured out where I lived, but yeah, they were at my house, the next morning, talking to us and the guys in GBH. Yeah, that was it.
So were the GBH dudes all tripping out on this, or like?
I don't even know if they were even on the boat. They might have just driven around. Yeah, I'm not even. I can't even remember where they stayed. Where they stayed in town. Yeah, they thought it was funny.
Right on. So we're at about 46 minutes here. That's it's probably a pretty good length of time. People have short attention spans these days.
Totally, yeah. 20 good. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's watching, minute or less TikTok videos. Getting somebody to pay attention for an hour or more is a little more difficult.
Right.
So you're working on Toe Tag right now. You got a new drummer, writing some new songs.
Yeah, we got a couple of new songs, and I don't see live shows coming back for a while.
Yeah, that's kind of be what I was going to ask you. What do you think is going to happen with the industry, the concert industry? Maybe
next spring, and then even if they do, stuff is so different, across the states. There might be, some bands, they might be hesitant to tour because they can't, really, hit a big portion of the country. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too optimistic about it. Unfortunately, but that, I know up here in Seattle they haven't. It just keeps getting tighter and tighter.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I've been kind of wondering like what's going to happen here. Like for a little while there, Colorado flattened out, and I think cases even started to go down, but now they're going back up.
Yeah.
And the thought is that that's probably largely due to kids going back to school and going back to college, whatnot. But then you have the holidays right around the corner, and you're trying to tell people they can't get together for the holidays. I can't see that going over real well. I'm not. People like, when things get back to normal. I don't think they are going back to that version of normal. I think we'll find kind of new normals.
Yeah.
And I'm really hesitant or about some of the concerts that are popping up. They're putting tickets on sale for this and for this and for this for next year. And I'm like, on one hand, I should get tickets before it sells out. But on the other hand, like, it's not going to happen. It's going to end up getting canceled, and I'm going to have all this money held up waiting for my refunds.
Yeah.
I hate to be that pessimistic, but I'm thinking, concerts maybe next fall, more likely 2022. Bigger concerts. I do think that there are opportunities, and we're seeing a lot of it around Denver now. More clubs are opening, doing smaller, more intimate shows.
They're just not allowing that in Seattle or Washington State.
Right.
I think there's some there's some basement stuff and some party deals that are going on for sure. But it's a bad time if you're have a small business, club, restaurant, little brick and mortar store.
I think one of the things that in Denver here, it's already starting to cool off next week. I mean, this week's in the mid 80s, but next week's supposed to be in the low 60s. And a lot of the Denver restaurants right now, most of their business is coming from their patios.
Yeah.
Everybody expanded these patios out, even been allowed to take up parts of the street and whatnot. And obviously some concern there. I'm really worried about what's going to happen to some of these places that were able to stick it out this long, but what happens come November?
Oh yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
This was we had for our business we draw a salary, and when anything like this happens, or we're short staffed, or we've got a bunch of broken stuff, and we cut the money that we take, and this was going to be a really, really good year for us. Nothing was going to break. I wasn't going to have to buy any new refrigerators, do any other stupid shit. And come November, December, we'll see what happens. Same up here in Seattle. Everybody's set up for the dining outside. After a while that gets old. It's like, how many beers do you want to go have outside when it's 30 degrees? The novelty is there.
Yeah, when I was 17, it didn't stop me from standing out in the middle of the woods drinking beer in the snow. But
you didn't have anywhere else to go then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're drinking fast enough that they don't freeze sitting there. But
right. Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. It's such it's an ever changing thing, and there's so much. Yeah, so much stuff you're hearing.
Look, I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, maybe touched on it. I think people's creative juices aren't going to stop flowing. They're going to come up with new ideas and new ways of doing things, and music and live performance. The live performance part might be a little bit different, but people are going to still be making music and getting their art out there, I think.
Oh yeah, this whole live stream thing is starting to pick up, and I think there's a lot more more legitimate type of platforms where you can to get a bigger audience. I think we did the one. I think we ended up getting like 10,000 views.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just there's stuff is out there. It's going to change. People are going to adapt. If that's if you're really into it, you're going to adapt. I know there's a lot of guys. We know a lot of guys that are in bands that just keep using all of this as an excuse, not to get together and jam. But once again, we're older. we operate in such a smaller circle. We already have a social bubble or whatever.
I think in that regard, it kind of weeds out. Maybe there's a positive there, positive and a negative. It weeds out the guys that really aren't committed, the bands that aren't really in it for the right reasons. They're in it for more the immediate reward or the immediate gratification. The hey, look at me versus the long haul.
Yeah. And when the clubs open, the live music might have a renaissance. It might be where whatever the hot, the streets of London, I'm sure there was a point in time where they had live music, 5 days a week, and you could have a good show on a Sunday or a Monday, just like on a Saturday.
Yeah.
That's the way it used to be in Seattle. I look at some of these old flyers. It's like, God, that show was on a Tuesday night. It's like nowadays I'd never do it on a Tuesday night. And but people were coming out to see live music.
Yeah, I remember, Denver back in the late 80s or early 90s, the Aslan Theater, I think it held, 500-600 people, but local bands would pack it.
Yeah.
Local bands can't bring in 500 people, today. But like I said, maybe after COVID and that maybe there will be a renaissance and people will come out of their homes. They'll shut the PlayStation off and go out and interact, and everyone will go to the show.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But until then, like we were talking about the other night, I'm not sweating it too much. We've been rehearsing every couple of weeks, and I know my brother's been writing some stuff, and kind of taking advantage of the downtime a little bit. And
yeah, I've been trying to take advantage of it, keep busy writing. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I've missed the being able to plan, because because I'm not really a musician. I'm not like a lyrical, genius or anything. I like, I like the networking and the planning, and, the goals of, going somewhere, playing a show or, doing something, that's what kind of keeps me going. But, that's what I really miss about it.
Cool. We're just shy of an hour here, so I'm going to say a few things and wrap it up. And I just wanted again, still kind of reeling from the news of Eddie Van Halen. I was telling my brother, I started my day out reading this the new Rolling Stone interview with AC/DC, and again, really impressed with how the obstacles they'd overcome to put a version of AC/DC back together that we'll all recognize, and that how Malcolm is on the new album. They're not using any riffs or songs that he didn't write. They went through a bunch of stuff that obviously they hadn't put out, and stuff that was recorded, or riffs that were recorded, and built songs around the stuff that Malcolm already had. And that Brian Johnson went through this like still he won't give up too much detail about like super secret hearing aid thing. And it's like, wow, these guys overcame these major obstacles. These guys from the 70s, late 70s, and AC/DC's coming back. That snippet that I heard sounded pretty cool. I'm reading all that, like, oh wow, it's really cool. And 4 hours later, find out Eddie Van Halen's dead, and I was like, fuck, man. So on my lunch break today, I was all pumped on AC/DC and playing If You Want Blood, and then I had to change my shirt and got off work and put on the Van Halen albums, man.
Right.
I left it over there, so I dug out my my Van Halen carnival plaque. Remember the little glass things you get at the carnivals? Sitting on the shelf over there. Well,
money.
Yeah, those things are, man. Yeah, I still have an Ozzy one, Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, 2 Iron Maiden ones, and the Van Halen one. Yeah. Dude, I should have brought it over here, but it's Motley Crue. It's Motley Crue, Shout the Devil, and it's the picture from the back of the album. And I guess when I was a kid, I had dribbled fake blood along the edge at the top and let it all run down. So it's got all this fake blood running out. It's pretty freaking cool. All right, man. Well, we thank you for talking shit with us, Blaine.
Yeah, thank you.
It was awesome to catch up. Good to see your face, man. And we'll get the audio pulled, throw it up on the podcast channels, and the recorded version. We'll shoot the link around. And
oh wait, no, I got one last thing to plug. So after I did we had the farts that we were doing, and then when the farts started getting a more heavy sound, we decided to change the name of the band to 10 Minute Warning. So we released a 5-song cassette that was under the farts name, and then the 5 songs got released under the 10 Minute Warning name. So I put out this double LP with some 10 Minute Warning live stuff and a rehearsal, and those 5 songs.
Oh, nice.
That are on there.
Cool.
Oh, so you have copies of that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'll get some. Yeah.
I'll hit you up.
Get you some for the store.
Right on.
Cool.
Yeah, that's my plug.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you remembered that, man. That seemed pretty important. I'm glad you threw that one in there.
Yeah. Well, I don't like to be too much of a blowhard. I got a couple other things going on too, but I don't want it to be all about me. So.
Well, hey, this is a bad dude, man. It's the end of the game. Kick the field goal.
No, that's it. That's all the things. I got a couple other things that are in the works, but I got to hold off on those.
All right, maybe we'll catch up with you again in a couple months or something.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, good to talk to you. I wish you luck with everything. I hope everything goes good with all this.
Yeah, well, for you guys too.
Yeah, stay healthy, stay safe, man, and be good.
Yeah,
be good to each other out there, people.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, we're out. I got to go cook dinner now.
Yeah, we're out. We'll go eat some dinner.
All right.
All right, bye.
I'll get back to you guys. Peace.
Peace, man.